Parkway Drive has a new album out and it's called Reverance. People say that it's weird, but is it? Find out next on Music Is Your Friend. Boom! Yeah, so this album scored 21 out of 100. That puts the album close behind Ire or Deep Blue. Deep Blue got 25 on my scale and Ire came out with 24, so that's about the same. They're starting to sound a little bit more normal and that's good. I mean, they are still like heavy as fuck, but it sounds that they're more driven by honesty than by testosterone these days, and that's only for the better. This album is dark, intensive, and honest. They talk about society, they talk about, what's the role of an individual within the society, this new digital world, whatever. They deal with, fake profiles on the internet, some heavy emotional subjects like child abuse or, death in the family, loss in general. But this album just sounds smarter. I just wish that the songs were a little bit more fluent. This album has better songwriting. It's just that, the melodies and the vocals with the melodies kind of didn't produce these amazing songs. But you can still find a couple of really cool songs on this album. If you are a growling vocalist and you feel the need to scream, you need to find validity for your screaming somewhere in your songwriting. If you scream all the time about just about every issue, that actually doesn't make you sound more tough, it makes you sound more like a lost teenager. Basically, you need a good reason in order to yell within a song. I'm guessing that Winston has a really hard time with singing, and if he was more confident with his singing voice, I'm guessing that he would actually sing more on this album. But I feel that his vocals aren't there yet, so basically he's whispering throughout this whole album. And while I don't actually admire all that kind of whispering sound within his voice, I actually appreciate what it brought to the table. See, once upon a time, Parkway Drive was very binary. I mean, it had on, off, and that's it. Either he's screaming or there are some like soft parts within the song, so he's not screaming, and that's it. But now, instead of on off, they have kind of a standby position right there in the middle. The thing is that, most of these vocals aren't that melodic as people would wrongly call them. But by having these vocals throughout the album, that actually brought a whole bunch of more, tones to their palette. So their binary, black and white actually became more of a grayscale, and all of those shades actually make them sound more grown up. On top of that, to all the metalcore kids, you just have to understand that Winston is not, gonna scream all of his life, when he is in his 50s. He doesn't want to only scream because he doesn't have a valid reason to scream. I mean, he is doing good, So to scream constantly would just be idiotic or fake. But anyway, you could see that the band is really inspired and that they brought ideas to the recording process. Winston always had good lyrics, but they were always hidden behind these metalcore vocals, and now I can understand them to a certain extent, and that's a lot better. The only production element which I really mind about this album is that they kind of bury Winston's vocals underneath some like guitar elements and all of that stuff. I mean, I would like for his vocals to be more front and center, and that would be beneficial for the songs. The thing is that I totally understand them and support them in their, decision not to make the same songs over and over again. Some of their previous songs sounded too much alike and they basically became fillers on the album. This album has much more diversity and it's a step forward for the band. I think I wouldn't be mistaken if I said that I heard some recent Johnny Cash influences and some Nick Cave influences, which is kind of okay because it's, Aussie pride and all of that stuff. On this album, they sound like they do live, and that's really good. Although I don't really know how they're gonna pull off some of these songs live. I think that they're gonna have to use, more samples. The guy who co-produced this album is their live sound guy, so it just makes sense that they sound as they do sound live. The album is really well produced, but as I said earlier, they would really profit by having a producer like Don Gilmore actually step in and work with them on the songs, not just the mixing. I think a guy like that could actually help Parkway Drive to become a better band and to become like, you know, metal royalty and to sit upon that throne and in a sense become the future of metal, because as I said in one of my previous videos, metal is dying. Some of you older metalheads might not agree with what I said just about now, but when you play the song Vice Grip, I mean, it just sounds really good and it's metal as fuck. It's just undeniable. This is how I see Parkway's evolution through the years. Horizons was like really, you know, dark and fast. Then you had Deep Blue, which was a little bit lighter. Then Atlas came and it was just really dark and moldy as fuck. Then after Atlas there was actually nowhere to branch out except to just slow down, be more honest and be heavy as fuck with Ire. So where do you go from Ire? Well, you introduce new elements, you know, you play a little bit more with all of your contrasts, you know, with the lighter and the darker side of you. And basically you get Reverance. It's a different sort of album, but I would never say that, you know, Parkway became more soft in any way. They're more heavy than ever in a sense, and they actually are unifying metal crowds. That's something which I feel that we need in this, you know, 21st digital century. I really like those guys. I actually shared the stage with them at a certain point in time. I actually saw photos of Jeff wearing my former band's t-shirt and signing autographs somewhere in Europe. And on this album, I believe that he is the man of the match. Ben was more solid than ever. Luke's riffs were, you know, crushing fists of God. I can hear the bass guitar, which is great, and, you know, Pi did an excellent job. Winston was on fire, literally, but, you know, Jeff was still the man of the match. Wishing Wells. I can understand Winston a little bit more. I can hear the bass guitar, and this sounds like smarter songwriting. Pray was made for the crowd, and I actually did the whole review of this song in a separate video. Just want to add that the drum fills sound really good. Absolute Power starts with a bass intro, which is cool. Again, you can hear the bass throughout the whole song, and I can understand Winston more, which is only for the better. The breakdown at the very end sounds a lot like Hatebreed, and it's really crushing and powerful. It's Absolute Power. Oh yeah, and the end is kinda cool. I heard people talking about Cemetery Bloom as a separate song, while in fact I can only perceive it as an intro to the next song, which is The Void. And therefore, I don't actually see it as being something revolutionary and totally different for Parkway Drive. I mean, yes, there are some, like, you know, string parts, and there are some choral parts that sound actually really good, because I know that all of those, like, vocal lines were sang by the guys from the band and maybe a couple of other people. Also, I guess that, you know, this song will be the opening song that's just gonna be played on the PA before their concert starts. It's a really good opener, and I'm guessing that, you know, as soon as this intro stops, you know, Parkway Drive is gonna climb up on stage and start playing The Void. The Void. You have already probably heard this song, and, you know, it's a good song. The riff kind of sounds like Avenged Sevenfold, but it's good. And I can't stress enough how good it is to actually understand what Winston is saying. I Hope You Rot. This one is about child abuse that was done by some members of the Church of Australia. That's why you can hear all of those, like, vocals in the chorus that sound like Ghost, actually. If you need reasons to scream on your song, this is probably the most valid reason for you to scream. I think that the pace of the song and, you know, the kind of general feel of the song is gonna be really popular with the metalcore kids. Although this song actually doesn't sound like metalcore, it actually sounds like Scandinavian metal. Yeah, a touch of Ghost, which is also Scandinavian, so that's it. Listen to the very ending of the song. There's also a little cool solo on the very, very end while the song is already fading out. Shadowboxing. This one is different. I can hear Winston singing on the very beginning, and that's great. I like this song. I mean, the riff kind of hits you like a truck. There's a piano in there, a string section. I mean, good for you, Parkway. I can't really understand Winston while he's growling. This song actually has kind of an orchestral breakdown, which is odd, but good. I like the fact that, you know, in this song they basically said to all of the haters, we're gonna sound like we wanna sound, and that's good. And I know that I'm actually talking here about their sound and criticizing it, but it's not about that. I actually don't care about if they're gonna play, you know, fast songs or slow songs or use this or that kind of distortion. I only care about if I understand them and if the songs are good, and that's it. And for this song, I really appreciate that they incorporated just about every single element that Parkway Drive ever kind of had in their songs with some new elements, and they said, you know, that's it, this is the song. It was really cool to hear Winston singing, and I hope that, you know, he takes some singing lessons, not because I think that he particularly needs them, but I think that it would just help him to be a little bit more confident within his voice and his kind of stage presence. A lot of singers took, you know, singing lessons, including James Hetfield from Metallica, and that, you know, brought really good songs like Listen to the Black Album. In Blood, I don't really care much about this song, but it's not bad. Kronos, Father Time. This is one of the longest Parkway Drive songs ever, and it sounds good. The first part of the song actually sounds like regular Parkway, and then from the middle section, you know, it just goes really haywire. I actually heard Winston referring to the end of this song as, I can see Jeff standing on a volcano and playing a 4-minute solo, and that's what the song is all about, and it's really cool. The Color of Leaving. It's really honest, but I don't really like this song, and that's about it. I really want to thank all of my subscribers that have subscribed so far, and I encourage all of you new viewers to also subscribe to my channel. It really means a lot to me, and more subscribers the merrier, and you know, for me, if there's a lot of subscribers, I actually feel extra motivated to write scripts, you know, film these videos, edit and push them out as soon as I can. I also really want to thank these two guys because they're really helping me out, and they're making all of my custom music for every single one of my videos, and I'm really grateful to them. And check out, there are some links in the description below where you can buy the album, but you can also check out what they're doing and their solo channels and all of that stuff. And that's about it for this video. So me and Albert are out of here. I should really get a Michio Kaku poster. Anyway, me and Albert are out of here, so long guys, see you soon. Boom!